All right, Molly Ratermann, nominated by Katie Enright. You are the writer, the producer, the actor. Did I miss anything? No. Of
Director.
director, I missed director. Thank you.
Yes.
I can only hold like four variables in my mind at any given time.
Completely fair. Yeah.
Thank you.
I leave a lot of them out half the time.
Thank you. It's easier that way, right?
Much easier. Yeah, we need
Uh,
like an acronym at this point, you
right.
know?
Exactly. Mnemonic device, totally.
Right.
The film is called The Cosmopolitan West, and it's a really beautifully shot, very well acted, sincere is the word that comes to mind movie. And I'll tell you, just I was surprised that I was actually moved by
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
That's all and a filmmaker ever wants to hear.
You
So
know,
that's great.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
I was actually moved by the film. I was touched, and I was not expecting that. I'm, kind of a little bit callous, but maybe not really. But yeah, it was really lovely, pretty film, eloquent. I don't know if it's appropriate at this stage. I'm getting up there to call it a feminist film. I think.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
still cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. I think yes. I'm
Okay.
very cool with that. Thanks.
All right. And it's really cool how it's set in the old Wild West, and the partner of the bank robber is a black man, and the lead who you play is a female bank robber. So non-traditional role. I don't know how much you want to talk about the plot. I mean, really, like, the point of the show isn't necessarily like, kind of, there's a certain amount of like context which we have to give people to talk about the film, but it's really
Yeah.
to talk about your own personal experience, and within the context of the film.
Right.
you know
Right.
so from your own personal experience, I have just really three questions. The second one's kind of a two-parter, but the three questions, the first one is, what was the emotional, psychological, spiritual, if you can connect with that word, um, inspiration for the movie?
Yeah. Well, it started. I am a big fan of history. I think a lot of writers are because we kind of steal bits and bobs from it. And so there's an old outlaw. She was a bandit. Her name is Pearl Hart. And I read a story about her in a magazine because I was waiting in one of those very long COVID lines.
Mm.
So I had nothing better to do. Anyway, so I read this story about her, and she was this massive tomboy. I related to that pretty quickly just because I grew up a massive tomboy as well. Most of my friends don't recognize photos of me from when I was younger versus now, now that I wear makeup. So I think for me, that was a huge connection for me. And the fact Pearl Hart, so there's a whole Cosmopolitan magazine aspect to my short film. And I took that because that actually happened to the real Pearl Hart. She was in jail because she was a bandit and she was caught for robbing a stagecoach. And Cosmopolitan actually featured her in their magazine. So I just love this kind of juxtaposition. I think growing up as a tomboy, anyone who's grown up as a tomboy, I think you still struggle with kind of the social norms of what it means to be a woman, and you do kind of question yourself. You know, you're proud of yourself, but society kind of wants to say, well, a woman, is more valued when she looks like this or acts like this, that sort of a thing. So I think it's something I definitely struggled with growing up was loving myself despite maybe not meeting those societal standards of what a woman is. And so I liked having the Cosmopolitan magazine be this kind of constant battle with herself, constant kind of comparison
Mm.
tool, so to speak, that she eventually overcomes, or hopefully overcomes. I guess I'm giving away things, um, but yeah. And so I think for me, that was really that immediate connection, was tapping back into that tomboy side and kind of that journey I've gone on. Many other women have gone on to yeah, to kind of like loving yourself for what you are, and still being that tomboy inside, and being respected that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of where it began.
That's great. It's a really cool juxtaposition between the fact that she uses the magazine and how she uses the magazine, and she's
Yeah.
both interested in it for the pretty pictures, and then there's just a very utilitarian purpose of going to the bathroom and using the paper,
Right.
and it's just a great metaphor for the way that struggle might be played out, between being attracted to the validation that's social and then also rejecting that social validation.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. Yeah, I like that was the first thing I thought of when I thought Cosmo magazine. I'm like, oh God, like the stuff they put in your brain growing up just makes you feel never enough, so it makes you want to use it as toilet paper. And that was kind of my initial thought. If I read that magazine back in the day, I think I would just use it as privy paper and not actually as what it's meant for, as enjoyment, entertainment.
Would you call it privy?
Privy, I mean, that's like the old school term. I can't
Is that
believe I
right?
just said
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah,
I like it. I never
but
heard
yeah.
that. Pretty good, yeah.
I mean, toilet paper. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, privy. Gosh, it makes me sound so silly.
No, it's cool. I like it. Being kind of interested in words, it's always fun to learn new ones.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really cool, and I can definitely connect with it. As far as I just recently, my wife gave birth to a daughter. She's
Oh my
now,
gosh.
is our first girl, only child. Thank
Congratulations.
you. So, having a girl is really interesting because just recently, I mean, this, just out of curiosity, you might find it interesting because um, we just came to Kansas City where I grew up to help my mom move, who's very much from the old school, old world. She's 85. And, Naomi, who's 2.5, soon to be 3, is saying to her, I'm a boy. And my mom keeps
Oh
saying, "Oh,
wow.
you're a good girl," or something. I'm like, "Mom, no, we don't like good. We don't use
Yeah.
those kind of." She's like, "No, I'm a boy." So it's really like, and we just like whatever. She's but
Yeah. You're
it's
kind of letting her find her way, right?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's and it's these kind of identities and how we wear them, and then how we go beyond them at some certain point in our life. And
Yeah.
like it seems like in your film, and I'm sure in your life, I mean, do you feel like you can be both? You can reconcile both the tomboy as well as the feminine, more traditional feminine.
Yeah, well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I got to an age where, as terrible as it sounds, I started to like boys and started to kind of want to, get that attention, so to speak. But I think, it's nothing is black and white, right? I mean, I still wear like basically guys' clothes half the time, and then the other half of the time, I love dressing up and being in a dress and heels and doing all that. And so, I don't really, I don't really think of them as different. Gender norms, I guess. Like I think for me, somebody asked, "Is this a trans story? Is this a what?" And I'm like, you know what? Make it what you want it to be. I
Yeah.
think for me, none of those things are black and white, like I said. And so
Yeah.
I think attaching, for me, when I was growing up, I saw all the boys were having the most fun. All the boys got to do the fun
Right.
things.
Yeah.
I loved sports. I loved all these
Yeah.
things. So that was just me relating to,
Sure.
things I enjoyed doing, or personal
Yeah.
interest, I
Yeah.
suppose. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's hard because we have these normal things that are usually a guy thing or usually a girl thing. I wanted the
Right.
Hot Wheel car from McDonald's and my friends wanted the Barbies. Like, that's
Right.
fine, but I don't think it takes away anything of you being any less or more of a woman, at the end of the day. And so I think it's just redefining what it means for you to either be, a woman, a male, they, them. I think, and I'm obviously accepting of all those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, for my personal journey, I think being a tomboy was definitely something that shaped me so much now. I think I can't help but still have my
Well,
tomboyisms. I
I'll tell
still go
you,
throw the football and whatever.
and I think just in just terms of the way society defines role, masculine versus feminine, it's like you took on actor, producer, writer, director. Those are very much doing things, right? And
Yeah.
that's the way like society defines that masculinity. So kind of even taking that social stuff off the table, I'm sure that initiative, whether it's in a woman or a man or a they or whatever, it's like that is important, and that's just a human thing
Right.
that's
Right.
important to take initiative when needed, and then it's also important to have the other part, to be
Right.
um,
Right. kind of
So
living that out. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a neat observation of it, you know. Um, yeah, it was quite the journey making it, and it was
it's
great.
very
And
cool.
yeah, yeah, it's been a
It's
ton of
very
fun.
cool. It is a beautiful film, and it is, beautifully put together.
Thank you. I
From
appreciate
A to
that.
Z. It's really, I know how challenging it is to make something like that. It's a lot. The next question is a two-parter, so don't lose me on this.
No way.
All
I got
right, but
you.
it's kind of like I give people kind of like their choice of where they want to go with this question, but it's really kind of two questions or two parts in one question. So when you're making the movie and when you're in the place of pre-production, even production, as the director holding the vision, when you're in that place, there is a driving force that I'm just going to call it the meaning. What is the message, the meaning of the film? And then when you edit the film, and you're looking at it from that post-production place, and you're putting together the meaning and choosing your shots and how
Mm-hmm.
will it fit, and then you're the viewer of the film, right?
Right.
And so there's that arc or circle or whatever you want to, a triangle. I mean, of like the experience and the message. So what was the message for you in that pre-production production stage, and what was the message of the film that you look back on during post or as a viewer, and how was it same, different, change? Just what did you want to say?
Yeah, I think I got really lucky with sometimes when you take too many hats on, you're a little too close to so many aspects of your
Yeah,
film, right? And you
yeah.
think you're saying one thing, but obviously everyone's going to interpret it differently because they're really relating it to their own personal experiences, their own life experiences, and just kind of, where they're coming from. So everyone reads a story and takes their own meaning from it, right? And so I think for me, I was really lucky with the crew and cast that I ended up having because they were able to kind of bring out more meaning from the film. They saw
Mm.
different things in it, um, and yeah, I think but in my own mind, um, I think I just kind of similar to what I said before. I wanted to have this meaning of like, this tomboy who is just as much a woman, is just as much um, kind of finding her inner strength. Like I think sometimes the people who put up the most confidence and they put up this big, air about them, they really are struggling internally. And I liked the idea of this tomboy who seems like she's got it together and she's so confident and all this, but she does sometimes fall into a love trap, where she does sometimes fall into uh, worrying that she's not enough of a woman. So I think that was like the meaning for me was seeing. I hate using this word because everyone uses complex, but complexity inside of a woman who normally I think is presented. A lot of female badass characters are just one thing. They're badass. They're good at everything. They're amazing. They know every language in the world, like all these things. They can do every kung fu move you could think of. And so I didn't want that. I wanted to be a woman who had vices, had some personality to her, brought that old west personality back into newer films. So yeah, I think I am. I'm I'm pretty sure everyone else uh, who is a female, regardless of how girly they were or not girly they were, every single female on set related to this story of just kind of kicking society in the face of like, stop telling us who we are and who we should be and what's right and what's wrong. Every single girl has felt they're not enough from reading a magazine or seeing a photo that's been photoshopped 20 different ways till Sunday. And so although it's maybe a smaller message, I think that's the thing people really clung on to the most. And then in post, I think we tried to run with that a little bit more and really focus on Rose's journey. Initially, she has this kind of love hate thing with Boot, her old bank robbing partner. But I think Boot is like a great uh, kind of reflection tool to show her standing in her own and standing in her own strength. And that's what I wanted him to be, is that like, he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's got his own toxic issues, but she was able to still kind of overcome that and then get what she really wants.
You know, in listening and reflecting on the film, it seems like, and thinking about my own experience with it, the moment that worked is the climax of the film, and the moment that set up the climax of the film. Do you mind me giving it away? Like some
Yeah,
more?
yeah, yeah,
It's
totally.
who's gonna see this? I don't know. But was him saying, um, if you kill someone, or when you kill someone, if you kill someone, I know you love me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then she ends up doing that for the first time.
right.
Um, and it's like even that line gave her the courage to do it. Like if he didn't say that, maybe she wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
And yeah, I guess, what do you think of that?
yeah. I mean, I think I wanted to. It was a little maybe poetic of me. My writing coach says this often. He's like, "Oh, poetic of you," but I think yeah, I think with um, Bootsa, I did want it to be a traditional love story. I think there's a lot of times where you can love someone, but they're not right for you in that moment. And so I wanted to show that she kind of rejected living the life he wanted and living the life she wanted. But I think still showing that she's in love with him. And, you never know, maybe down the road they'll work out. But she had her own journey to kind of face. And so the real Pearl Hart, she never shot anybody. She just used the gun as um, a manipulative device, essentially. And I really loved that about her. She was really like kind of moral in a weird way. She would leave a little bit of money to the people that she would rob and that sort of a thing. And I loved that, like the idea of this outlaw who's just so backwards in so many different ways. And so I kind of wanted to splice that in a little bit. And I think that was with him being like, you got to take the shot. You got to take the shot. And then her taking the shot ultimately made her realize, this isn't me. This isn't for me. And yeah, and ultimately also she shot the bad guy. It wasn't like she shot the good, the good guy after all that. And so, yeah, I think yeah, the line is somewhat in there because I wanted to kind of really drive that home that she is in love with him. And I well, obviously went into this thinking about expanding the story. And so I just finished the script for the feature film, and it's much more explored in the feature
Yeah.
film, their relationship
Wow. Wow.
and all of that. And
Wow.
so yeah, so
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you caught that first off, but yeah, I
I think
think
that's, for me, that's the heart of the movie, because like beyond the feminism and the tropes, or, feminist tropes, I think is a very literary way to kind of, whatever, get the meaning across. But the real heart of the story is that personal, people, soul to soul connection, and the individual journey, which we're all on, right?
right,
Beyond the
right.
skin and the, accoutrements of the anatomy. um that's why I was moved by the film, and
I appreciate that.
yeah, and that was great. All right, so the last question, why what what did you learn, how were you changed after making this?
Oh man. Uh, well, I mean, for the people, probably mostly just friends of mine who know the story of, the classic, all the crazy stuff that happens trying to make a film. I think it was truly the best learning experience, producing and directing wise. We had a lot of moving parts to this, and we were changing the script up until, even right before shooting it. Just because I think this film, because I was doing it on such a small budget, like every indie filmmaker,
Mhm.
and we had horses and we had all these different, lots of different locations, and COVID and all these things. I think I took so many lessons with me that I'm glad happened on a short and not for the feature or things like that. So I think my takeaway, although it should have been more, uh, I wish it was more spiritual in the way of with the story and exploring this character and all that stuff. I really think it came down to some amazing lessons, just managing managing people, managing,
Tell us.
external.
Tell
Yeah.
me. Yeah, tell me
I
what
mean,
film.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure all of it makes me sound so great. Okay, as a producer, I try
that's
and
okay.
plan for like absolutely everything, right? A to Z. I have all my plan A, B, C, but seemed like everything that happened just kept being things you just can't plan for. We had a rattlesnake. We had
Mm.
or multiple rattlesnakes. We had one crew member get bit by a rodent and then went into
Jesus.
anaphylactic shock, and we were in the
Holy
middle of
shit.
nowhere, and like,
Oh
yeah,
my
we
God.
had a huge fire thing come through. We had a windstorm that blew down all the cell towers. The key to the
Oh my,
production car was lost because of the emergency that happened.
holy
It
shit.
was like, and that was day one, so that was
Oh
just
my
day
God.
one.
Shut up. All that
Yeah,
happened on day one.
and that's not even the end of just what happened on
What?
day one. Yeah, so that was fun.
Oh my
Uh,
God. I don't
but
feel sorry for myself anymore.
I mean, here's the thing: everyone has a crazy production story, right? Like everybody has shit that goes wrong. It's inevitable. But it felt like everything we went to do, it just and I had an allergic
Wow.
reaction. My
Wow.
throat was like closing and my eyes were closed.
Wow.
It was a whole thing. It was. I mean, look, it was
Jesus.
such a great. You really have to love filmmaking at the end of the day, and I think that's what we all realized is that although we had 1,000 curveballs thrown our way, we still somehow had fun. We obviously didn't sleep,
Jesus.
but what film do you sleep on? And at the end of the day, we were really proud of what we did with all of these things that happened. So um
Jesus.
yeah, so I think it was a really great kind of testament to, hey, I can get through anything at this point.
Yeah.
I if
Well,
and that, like I said, that was only half of day one. So that wasn't even
how many
the
production
whole
days?
amount.
How many hours?
So we went way over, which I feel terrible about, but I think everybody understood. We had 2.5 days in Alabama Hills, and then we had 2 day or one day and a day and a half in Landers at White Horse Ranch at the movie ranch.
Okay, so
Um,
4 days.
4 days, and the movie ranch, amazing. Everything went smoothly, everything was great, but I swear we were just cursed in Alabama Hills. Someone did not want us to make this
Uh,
movie, but we did it anyway. The film gods were nowhere to be seen, but that's okay. We got it done, and at the end of the day,
yeah.
like I said, I think it was a great, the DP Andrea, I love her to death, Andrea
Uh,
Chamberlain, and she, man, she's a warrior herself, and
yeah.
we both now,
Yeah.
any shoot we do, we're like, you know what, if we can get through that,
Yeah.
we can get through this. So I think none of us have fear now. I think there's not
Yeah.
any fear of, oh,
Yeah.
throw anything my way, good
Right.
luck, I will,
Right.
I will handle it. So I think that was the biggest learning thing for me. It was
That's
like,
awesome.
okay, like bring it on.
That's pretty
Let's do
awesome.
this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Going in strong for the feature, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And feature days are much more grueling than, it's a marathon rather than
Yeah.
these sprints. So
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't really have time to think. We had a very small window to shoot before people got on productions again because of COVID. So
Mm.
I wrote it and 2.5 weeks later we shot it. So it was like I
Uh,
wrote it in a day, and then
it's
every day was
fast.
making edits up until, yeah. And I'm a big believer in pre-production, so
Uh,
that was a tough one. I
mm.
again, thank God for Andrea, the DP. She was right there with me, immediate location scout, and just helping out every step of the way. So it was I got really lucky with my team, I guess. At the end of the day, Rachel
Sure.
Dagdigan did an amazing job with costumes and props, and she was handling a million things, and
Yeah.
everyone just stepped in. It was a really neat experience of people who just truly love film and to be creative. Everyone who came on the project, is used to doing much bigger projects, and they were all down to go in the middle of the desert with me, and
Awesome.
kind
Yeah.
of go through every circumstance to
Yeah.
possibly happen out there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
You just
yeah.
love making movies, going through it all.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it really confirmed. If anybody after that shoot still wanted to make a movie, then they're truly a filmmaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually my film sets, I want to qualify. My film sets are not normally like this. They're fun. They're easy. They're
Yeah.
we do pre-production and all that stuff. But we just happen to have every kind of punch thrown our way, and we're better for it. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's a
Yeah.
great piece. It's a great work of art, and it shows. So well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate
Welcome.
that. I
For
really
sure.
do.
All right, Molly Ratermann. Molly Ratermann.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's a
You're
lot of fun.
welcome.
Thanks for watching,
Cool.
and yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, catch you next time. Let us know, let me know
Yeah.
what you're up to, what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I'd love to chat with you again, and we'll be in touch. I'll show you this.
Yeah, I'd love that. And you know, the film's playing at Pioneer Town Film Festival Memorial Day weekend. So
Okay.
for
And where's
anyone,
that?
Pioneer Town is near Joshua Tree, basically. So Joshua
Okay,
Tree,
cool.
Palm Springs, that kind of area.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So anybody who's in the area,
All right, there
come
you
out
have
and
it.
watch. Yeah.
Go check that.
Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Thanks, Molly. Bye.
All right, bye.